And then I do see we have sound. We didn't. I don't know that we had sound for the intro. But now the sound bar is moving. Strange. But can you see us yet? Always a problem.
Yeah.
My bad.
No, I can see us.
Looking for Nikki Krantz live.
Yeah.
There we go.
We're golden. We're good. We're good to go today.
You think?
Yeah. Yeah.
That'd be good. I'm happy.
7 o'clock. 7:04.
That wasn't so bad.
No. Got a big show.
I can't wait to hear.
Big show today.
Can't wait to press some buttons.
Be ready. Be ready to push a lot of buttons, Kenny. I want to start off with just pointing out that I was right on about Monday that Baylor was going to win the national championship. I think I was in the minority there. And I was right. So, kudos to me.
Who did they play?
They played Gonzaga.
It's funny how after the March Madness is over, that it's been how long? A week?
It's been a week. Yeah, it's been a week.
So we're way behind in terms of speaking about that, and people aren't talking about it anymore. It's amazing how it's over, done with, boom, gone. What's next? You know, what is the next major sports event that people can really get excited about?
Well, the NBA playoffs will be coming on. Right?
How was your weekend?
My weekend was good. I don't remember what I did, though, during the weekend.
Usually we have some exciting things in our personal lives that we're willing to share.
Yeah. I remember.
Whether it's related to work or fun or something else. While you're looking, I'll tell you. I went out to dinner with the fam this weekend. And it was a beautiful weekend. And we ordered lobster mac and cheese.
Oh, nice.
Okay? Is lobster mac and cheese supposed to be served? Let me just ask you, how is your lobster mac and cheese temperature supposed to be?
How was your weekend? Well, let me tell you, my lobster mac and cheese, it wasn't hot enough. No, it was kind of hot. You said it was warm, right? It was lukewarm. It was So we're gonna start a GoFundMe page for Kenny's lukewarm lobster mac and cheese. Who's it? Who could put up a buck?
Bitch, please. That's funny. That's a funny story.
Oh no, it's a great story. I watched a little bit of the Masters on Sunday. We had a one-day softball tournament on Saturday, and I got to call the Hampton people. I got to call the Hilton people about my experience down at this hotel, because I'm less than satisfied. First of all,
so you're going to have a competing story.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a competing story too.
My cold lobster mac and cheese versus your hotel experience. This is good. I like this. This is a little bit of levity. Let's go. Let's hear it. And I hope people can hear us, because I know that Mike and Andrea Sass said they're having trouble hearing us. So I hope it's been fixed.
Oh, I don't see the comments. Anyway.
All right, man. Let's hear about your weekend debacle.
So Abby had a doctor's appointment, and she goes to see about she went and saw a doctor in Westchester, and what actually we ended up finding out is that I have Tourette's. That was actually the diagnosis that I think I got diagnosed. But everything's fine. So we go down to Westchester instead of driving back. We just drove down, stayed over Friday night, and just went right to South Jersey for the tournament. We drove into Philadelphia. All the things you can do in Philadelphia. Abby wants to go to Barnes and Noble, so we go to the Barnes and Noble. We drive back over to New Jersey because we're going to meet some friends that are teammates that are going to be down there for dinner. And it's about 5:30, and the hotel room's not ready. I'm like, it's like check-in's supposed to be at 3. This isn't ready. So I'm like, you know what? I'll wait. I go back in about 6:15, 6:30. The room's finally ready, but the room is not really like clean. Like it was fine, but it wasn't like, and you could tell that they were kind of just rushing through because they may have been short-staffed. All night, the people next door, now there was a junior hockey team also staying there. And when I say junior hockey, I mean 8U, 10U. And there was just kids running up and down the hallway upstairs. The kids were in the room next to us just screaming. And I don't mean like talking loud. I mean, they were like, ah! Ah! I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Did you say where you were staying, or have you held that back? I didn't remember.
No, I was at a Hampton Inn.
Okay.
Hampton. Right. And so I'm like, so finally after like the 47th, I said, you know what? And the just up and down.
Oh, I thought that was a bedpost. I didn't know what that was.
No. So I'm like, I get up and Amy's like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to take care of this. So I go out and the stairs are right there. I walk upstairs and I just throw the door open and there's kids in the hallway and they're just staring and I'm just staring at them. And they're looking at me and they're like, oh, be quiet, be quiet. And I look at them for about 5 seconds and I just say, stop running, please. Oh, we're not running. I'm like, yeah, you are. I can hear you. You're running up and down the hallways. It's now 11:30. I then proceed to go down to the first floor and I walk out into where all their parents were down there drinking in the lobby, right next to the desk. And I said to the lady behind the desk, I said, look, I don't know which one of these parents is in room 207. I said, but they need to keep their kids quiet. I said, because they're being really loud. And I said, they're not just talking loud. I said, they're going, ah! That's what I did at the desk. And the lady was like, oh, I'll take care of it. Yeah. And half hour, 40 minutes later, the kids are still in the room next door. Ah! Ah! So I get up again, and now I'm about to just go strangle somebody.
Right.
And then Amy's like, you're not going anywhere. I'll just call down. So she calls down and says, look, my husband came down a half hour ago. Nothing's being done. We have to get up in the morning. The kids next door are screaming. And it got taken care of. But as I was awake at about 5:30 in the morning, I actually, and I should have done this, but I was going to walk out and just go next door and just pound on the door and just wake them up at about 5 o'clock. Just like, and then just run just run back to my room in my underwear just to wake him up.
Oh, you didn't do that?
I didn't do like some of, you know.
So, you know.
So now I have to get resolution on this, and I haven't sent an email or made a call yet. But
Well, what's your resolution going to be? What do we know about Hampton Inn?
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Look, I used points and everything. Like, it's ridiculous. Room's not ready.
Yeah, this is not a sponsored advertisement for Hampton Inn. This is an issue.
This is my
for
room's
Hampton
not
Inn.
ready. Kids are yelling and screaming. Nobody's doing anything about it. People were just complaining in that hotel the entire time. Somebody was complaining the pool wasn't open when he was told it was open, and everybody's just losing their minds. And I'm just trying to go to sleep.
I think that you should make a phone call, send an email, let them know that you want to take advantage of the 100% Hampton guarantee, and they will, and they should refund you for that room. That's what they do.
Yeah. If I had my shit together, I would just do it right now.
It would be funny to do it on the phone. That would have been cool if you called from here and said, "Hi, I want to get my room refunded because, you didn't meet with the 100% guarantee."
I should have just called and then told the story the exact way I just did it.
Yeah. Hi, you're on a podcast. Can I record you? I think that would have been pretty funny.
North Carolina is beating Duke in college baseball 9-3, just because we have that game on in the background. Amy says, "Let me add, we have kids in hotels before and kept them quiet when it gets too late." This was 11 o'clock at night.
Is that Amy Maxim Krantz
Chiming in.
Good for her.
Chiming in.
Meanwhile, how was the one-day tournament?
It was good. I mean, there was no championship. It was more like a preseason type tournament,
Right.
which we got to, you get to work on a lot of things, and we won all 3 games, and there wasn't pressure, so there was no real high pressure situation, so we were able to show the girls that just play the game, right? Don't think so much. Good at bats. We didn't make a lot of errors. If we strike out swinging, we struck out swinging, right? Like it was really, really good because there was really no bad at bats. And if you understand baseball or softball, when I talk about a bad at bat, what that is. Looking at strike 1, strike 2, strike 3. So it was a really it was a good time.
That is cool.
Watch the Masters and
Well, we can get to the Masters,
Yeah,
that's for
sorry.
sure. But I noticed that you have something on your head. And that's part of something that I was dealing with this weekend. Chase my kids both play lacrosse with Kingston. And one of the things that we're looking forward to doing this season is to get involved with their booster club to help fundraise for the Kingston boys lacrosse team. And I just want to give a shout out to Dina Meyer at Five Star Printing and Tees, because he was able to get together and get us an awesome shirt ready for for the beginning of the lacrosse season. So we're hoping that everyone who's a member of the booster club is going to be able to get their hands on one of these awesome shirts from Dean. Meanwhile, if you take a look at that haircut that my kids got going on there, that's a different story. Now, he went up to the the Union Shave up in Saugerties and got his haircut. And so if you like that haircut, you go up to the Union Shave. And I just want to say thanks again to Dean, because he hooked me up with these really cool hats. And I appreciate, Nick, that you're wearing one. I think that logo happens to be a great size.
yeah,
And hopefully this fits on my big fat head.
put it on. Let's see.
Yeah, that might not. What do you think? You notice the colors? You notice these colors are the 2 local high school team colors? Saugerties?
Oh, and Kingston. All right.
Kingston.
Yeah, the Sawyers and the Tigers.
Because he's up.
All right.
He's up in Saugerties,
All right.
part of Ulster County, and thought that was cool. That was pretty cool. And then, of course, with the Masters this weekend, that was an amazing ending. Do you think it was ever close? Do you think that
No,
he was going to lose?
No, I
Let
can
people
tell you
know who won.
Matsuyama won. First Japanese player to win the Masters, and the first place prize for winning the Masters is a little over $2 million
That's it.
for finishing first place. That guy banked so much more money than that because of what that means for him economically in Japan is going to be astronomical.
Why?
Right.
Why is that?
Because golf is very popular in Japan, and it's getting more popular. And for a Japanese player to now win the Masters, just everything that comes with that, sponsorships, just everything. I mean, it's going to be a huge boost. Huge boost, right? It's like when a Japanese player comes to the major leagues, right? Let me look at Ichiro, look at Matsui, look at those when they go back to Japan, they're treated like gods because baseball is so big over there. Ichiro coming to the United States and playing like he did, and Matsui coming here and winning a championship, and also playing for the Yankees of all teams. Crazy. And you asked, did I think it was ever close? I know he stumbled on a couple holes towards the end, and he hit the ball in the bunker after he had the good drive, and he chipped out, and then he missed the putt, and he really won by one. There was no doubt in my mind that he was not going to lose, right? He was not going to lose that Masters because I just think the Japanese culture and the people are just so controlled, like with their emotions, right? And they're just able to kind of think things through and internalize things a lot better. And one of the examples I can give on that is I remember a couple years ago when the Japanese Little League team was playing in the United States. I forgot exactly what U.S. team it was. But early in the game, the United States went up by it was 11-0. Like the U.S. went up by double digits in the first or second inning. And I was sitting there, and Jake probably won't remember this, but I said to him, this Japanese team is going to come back. And the Japanese team is going to chip away until they get close, and they're going to put pressure on the United States, and the United States, the U.S. team is going to fold, right? It's just because of the way that the Japanese are just built, like mentally. Like they're better equipped as kids to handle those situations. And they did. Actually, the Japanese team came back and they scored a bulk of runs actually the next inning and then chipped away and actually ended up and they won the game. Right? And that's why I thought Matsuyama had it in the bag the whole time. I didn't think there was a chance in hell he was going to falter and have to go into a tiebreaker.
Did you follow him before this?
Or playoff.
I'm not a golf follower, so I don't know how popular he was before this Masters. Has he won?
He's been on the tour for a while, right? So I think he won the amateur 10 years ago. So he's been in a lot of these major tournaments.
Has he won a major?
I don't think he's won a major.
So that's why this is such a huge situation.
I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm sure somebody.
I don't think he's won a major. I mean, in the research that I was doing over the weekend, this I thought was his first one.
But I thought was really cool was that the caddy bowing, right? Like the caddy he put the flag back in and he did one of these where he just did a little bow. Yeah.
After he won it?
After Matsuyama sank the putt and the caddy was going to put the pin back in on 18, he puts in, he just by himself does a little bow, turns around and shakes everybody's hand.
Huh. So he's a gentleman.
Yeah. Well, it's just respect. I mean, they just show respect. Remember in Mr. Baseball?
I thought you were going to start making
the guy did
Karate Kid references.
He didn't tip his cap
and get into
to Tom
stereotypes.
Selleck. That's how Tom Selleck, he knew he threw at him on purpose. He didn't tip his cap. Because earlier in the movie, he got hit with a pitch, and the pitcher didn't hit him. It wasn't on purpose. And he tipped his hat like that to him, and Tom Selleck charged him out. And the guy's running out of the dugout going, no, he tipped his hat. Like, I'm sorry. Then later on in the movie, the guy hits him on purpose and doesn't tip his hat, whatever. Mr. Baseball, Tom Selleck, Google it. Yeah, Jolly, there were no Gary Sanchez at bats in our softball tournament on Saturday. I have to tell you, and we're gonna have George Stegman on here in a little bit as our guest. And if you know George and you know myself, we kind of go back and forth on Facebook a lot. So he's got some things he wants to talk about. The All-Star game. He said he can defend Gary Sanchez. I don't know.
Hey, today while driving, there was a Subaru sighting. Was there not? And
there was
a Subaru sighting.
Yeah.
And I was pretty impressed with the Subaru that we saw, and thought it was certainly important enough to mention, because a lot of times we have Subaru drivers who drive poorly and they make the cut, and this particular Subaru driver makes the cut for the various how would you say it, stickers on her car.
Yeah,
right?
but she also, if you look, she could see that she has her turn signal on.
Well, why? She's making a left.
But normally they just go and.
Anyway,
Hope
I
for the
didn't
best.
know. I like freedom of speech, so I was happy that.
Does that say hello titty?
I think it does.
I was just checking.
I think it does. And then there's another one over here that I just don't know if people would be offended. But hey, I think that.
Does that say if you're gonna ride my ass, at least pull my hair?
That's what I think it says.
All right.
Anyway, that was funny. I thought it was worth sharing, and you can talk about the next sports issue, but I thought that was a funny bunch of stickers on the back.
By far the best driving Subaru I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
This mic is
Okay,
loud.
so Sanchez, you're gonna talk baseball?
No, I mean, and like I said, we're gonna get George on here, and I'm gonna give him a call. And
Do you want to start a different topic before then? 'Cause I know that you were raging about the political climate in which we live, and
what, infrastructure?
and the potential for growing
Infrastructure?
the deficit, or saying growing the budget to help the people of this country through infrastructure improvements. I know you're 100% in favor
Yeah.
of improvements
That's right.
to this country.
Love
so what could
infrastructure.
possibly be the problem with infrastructure improvements, Nicholas?
There are no problems with infrastructure improvements.
As long as we all know
As long as we can define infrastructure.
exactly.
I thought it was roads, bridges, tunnels,
I thought the same
things that
thing.
make the country go.
Roads, bridges,
Transportation.
tunnels, transportation, airports, and I even was thinking, electrical grids, right?
Yeah.
Pipelines.
Oh, that's a good one,
and
pipelines.
even
Well, we
the
don't like
inter-
pipelines.
Well, and even the internet, right? When I hear the internet, I'm like, yeah, that's got to be
Yeah,
part
well,
of
now
infrastructure.
I think it's now infrastructure.
You know,
Yeah, yeah.
at some point, space stuff is going to be infrastructure, but
Space Force.
Space Force. But something was a little bit surprising in terms of the way it's being stretched. And it would be interesting to hear what other folks think. How far does the world of infrastructure go? Right? What did you think about references to the words human infrastructure? That was a new one.
Yeah, well, that was something that I heard Bernie Sanders touting. Was I think part of his thing there was, whoops.
Human infrastructure. I never thought that humans were part of infrastructure. So I think there's a concern
Yeah,
that
so part of his
they're
part
going to
of
push
yeah.
it all through there.
And this is how these politicians, and again, they're all the same. It just drives me nuts that people don't see this, but they try to push these things through, right? Like they did with the stimulus bill, right? People actually saw it, and they remember we came on here and I said immediately everybody just became a fiscal conservative. Overnight, everybody became a fiscal conservative once they saw all the money going to other places, right? And now we want to define infrastructure. Like Bernie Sanders wants to define infrastructure is eyeglasses and hearing aids for senior citizens is somehow infrastructure.
Look, let's start with the premise that infrastructure is the basic physical and organizational structures and facilities, buildings, roads, power supplies, needed for the operation of a society or enterprise.
Correct.
Social and economic infrastructure of a country. Okay? Now, what is it coming to?
But they see, and I heard somebody say this, if you control the language, you control
Do you control
right the narrative, you can get the votes, right? So like if you now start to redefine infrastructure as eyeglasses for the elderly,
childcare?
if
Right?
Kristen
Childcare and
Gillibrand
eyeglasses.
said paid leave is infrastructure, childcare is infrastructure, caregiving is infrastructure.
Yeah, they're basically making
Everything is infrastructure. So everything can be infrastructure. I mean, I don't know. So is that now using taxpayer dollars to build stadiums? Should that be considered infrastructure? Because I'm sure a lot of people out there hate the fact that they use taxpayer dollars to build baseball stadiums. Because then you could say, well, they create jobs. Right? They create jobs. It's infrastructure. Everything is infrastructure. And I just don't
buy into that.
I just don't understand how it's just. I don't understand how if you're a free thinking human being, even if you're a Democrat, how you cannot absolutely call these people out in the carpet. Like I have people defending it. Well, it's called human infrastructure. Yeah, no, I know what he called it.
Right.
I know the bullshit answer he gave me.
You can't make up a new term and put a round thing into a square peg. Or rather, I'm sorry, a square peg into a round hole. It's not right.
Now, if you want to have another bill, or if you want to have something else that deals with other things that you're trying to sneak into the infrastructure bill, but why can't infrastructure bill just be an infrastructure bill? Why does it have? Why is there Green New Deal stuff and all this other shit involved?
Because that's politics, and that's the sad part, and that's when you and I constantly go back to the idea that on both sides of the aisle you have hypocrites, because you're right. If you ask a politician on the left or the right, hey, why can't you just put together a bill on the issues that everyone agrees with? Because there are certain things where you'll get a majority of the congressmen and women from both houses to agree. And if you ask someone that, why don't you just put that together, that limited amount, those limited issues together in one bill, make it a law, and then go do the controversial stuff? The answer is, we're working towards they just bullshit you.
Yeah, because the Democrats know that
people in power don't have to do that. The people that are in power at the time don't have to just agree upon what they want to agree. They want to get their agenda in because they can. And candidly, I can't fault them for that. Elections have consequences on both sides. So if you can push your agenda in through all of the other bills where people do agree on things, then that's what you do.
But here's the thing. If one side has a bill that the other side totally agrees on, it doesn't help. Like, let's say the Democrats, because I can't think of a Republican example off the top of my head because I want to try to be fair, but since this is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
The Democrats have a bill. And if they put that bill out there and all the Democrats go, yeah, we're all in, it doesn't really help the Democrats at all politically. They need opposition to keep separating and dividing people, right? So if they come out and go, look, we're just going to have an infrastructure bill that's going to be roads, bridges, blah, 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 infrastructure. And Republicans go, shit, yeah, we're in. They're like, oh, they need to put things in that they know they're going to battle against so they can all sit there and Pelosi and all these people can get on and say, look, the Republicans don't care about your roads. the Republicans don't care about this. And then the Republicans do the same thing, right? Like they're like, oh, kids in cages. No, right? And now there's kids everywhere in cages. And I don't see Ocasio-Cortez like she was when Trump was president outside getting still photos taken, like, oh, like holding on to the fence, like crying, like it's such an atrocity. Yet she's crickets on it now. And she actually makes a comment in a video that says, oh, if you use the word surge at the border, you're a white nationalist. You're a white supremacist and you're racist. And it's like, what the hell are you talking about? Let's just keep, and then people don't, you don't see the wedge and the divide? There's a video of Steve Scalise of him just videoing massive amounts of kids crammed in cages, sleeping on the floor with those shiny, look like tinfoil blankets. Zero outrage from all you people. Because your news media that you're watching won't tell you. And honestly, you really just don't give a shit, I think, at the end of the day. Because if you did, you would be just as outraged. Wouldn't you? Like, if you were like a real free-thinking, had a thought for yourself human being. And let me say this, anytime, I'll save that for the next segment. Let me get George on. Hold on, let me see nearly all.
Hey, do you have a picture of George?
Nah, I don't have a picture of him.
Is he on Facebook?
Somewhere.
Do you have his number?
I do have his number. I mean, listen, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Right? I mean,
Let me see if I can find him.
I got my oil changed today too. I do this here.
Thanks.
Busy day
What'd
today.
you pay for that?
$54.
That's a good deal.
Not bad.
Did they
I remember when oil changes were like $19.
Did they come out and ask you to, like, do you want to change the air filter for $55 more?
It's funny because if you've ever gotten your oil changed, it's almost like they always come out with the same air filter to tell you that it needs to be changed because it always has the leaves and pine needles all in it. It's the I swear to God, I think they just have the same one that they just come out. All right, let's sprinkle a little pine needles and leaves, maybe a couple dead moths and some mosquitoes in here. Make it all dirty and tell you need your air filter changed. That they'll charge you $50 that I could buy the filter for $12 and put it in myself.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But oil changes, man. Nothing's cheap anymore, man. Nothing is cheap anymore. That's another thing. Everything's going up. I paid over $3 a gallon for gas. You go to Lowe's or Home Depot, I mean, the lumber, I mean, everything is through the roof. Everything is through the roof right now. Crazy.
I mean, somebody's making money.
Yeah.
And people have jobs to sell that stuff at Home Depot and Lowe's. So that's a good thing. What are you complaining about? Be a complainer.
Don't be a hater. All right, let me make this.
Now, who is George Stegman?
George Stegman is a friend of mine from back in the day in high school.
Where is he now?
He's got a lot of opinions. And that's why we thought it would be great to have him on. I'm going to give him a call. Let me take my earphones off here. Just give him a call real quick. Hold on a second. He's up in Albany right now.
Is that where's Scotia?
It's up near Albany.
Oh, so that's where he's from. I got the right person. You should have just called in. Come on, man.
George, hold on 1 second, okay?
Come on, Nicholas. I don't have anything to fill the time with.
All right, I think we got him. George, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you great.
So what are we going to talk about, Yankees?
Yeah, but hold on a second here. You guys are doing a great job, and I feel like I'm going to step in here and screw everything up.
Are you kidding?
But-
We don't know what we're doing.
No, it's amazing. Like,
That's
you guys
awesome.
have such a good back and forth, and, everything you're talking about is spot on. So, yeah, I'm going to try to come on here and give my 2 cents on whatever you want to talk about. But, yeah, go ahead. What's up?
So, George and I went to high school together, and we get into some back and forths on Facebook, whether it's for everybody to see or we'll even go back and forth, via Messenger. And
You think people really watch it and look and scroll down and read everything we write? Because we've had some battles.
no, people do because I'll be in Dick's and somebody will go, "Hey, I saw you and George on Facebook going back and forth." I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
I'm so much better when I actually have time to, think about it and write it down. So doing this on the fly, I might not be as good.
Now,
So,
listen,
bear with me.
we'll walk you through it. You're all right.
Yeah.
You're doing good so far. I should just hang up right now.
Yep, it's over. Let's go.
So
Man.
I want to start by really getting to the nitty gritty, the thing that's got the country paralyzed.
Yeah.
And I want to hear you defend Gary Sanchez.
Oh, I thought you were going to be MLB. So Gary Sanchez, let's get right into it. To me, and I steal a lot of what I'm about to say from one of my favorite sports analysts out there, Colin Cowherd.
I love him.
A lot of people don't like him. He's one of my favorite.
Me too.
Well,
Dude's great.
he's smart. He's a smart man. Everything he says is well thought out. And he sticks to – he never strays from his opinions. He tells you when he's wrong. He tells you when he's right. But one of his things he talks about is, expectations. So let's talk about Gary Sanchez and his expectations. Gary Sanchez came into the league and completely just went crazy, right? He blew it up. He was 24 years old, 2016. We just got rid of Brian McCann, who was a great veteran catcher. And now we have this rookie catcher that nobody knew what he was going to do. And what does he do?
Listen, he came out, he hit the snot out of the ball, and he had an absolute cannon for an arm.
And he still has a pretty good cannon.
Correct.
Let me ask you this, because I know I told you I was going to play like that game and, Gary Sanchez versus this. And then I started doing the research, and I started trying to get into the statistics and everything. And I was like, damn, this is like a full-time job. I didn't have the time to do it. Then I told you about the dentist. I had a freaking 2-hour dentist appointment just before this. So this is an easy one. This is an easy one. Who has, or how should I put it? I shouldn't say who because you're obviously going to know the name. The fastest catcher to ever hit 100 home runs.
Johnny Bench.
Gary Sanchez. No.
Gary Sanchez.
Johnny Bench. That's not a bad guess from somebody that doesn't really watch baseball. That's not a bad guess, but Gary Sanchez.
Gary Sanchez.
Yeah.
Right?
He's still running the bases from that first home run, probably, by the way.
Yeah. Well, come on. What catchers are out there stealing bases? I don't know. Who did any catcher ever steal bases? So let's not get on him for his running.
Well, you can get on him for his running when you don't run at all. That's the problem that I have. The laziness.
What, the one time when he didn't run down the baseline in Tampa Bay because he was injured?
When was that? When was that? Are you talking about the game that was 2 years ago, right?
Yeah. I mean, what other times is he not?
Watch the video. He dogs it. He almost stops and then starts to run again.
Well, a lot of Yankees have that problem. Gleyber Torres.
Oh yeah, I'm not a fan of Gleyber Torres either. But we can't defend. I mean, we can't defend not hustling. I mean, the other day he almost got thrown out at second base on a base hit and first base.
Once again, we're not debating his running prowess. I'll give you that. He's not a good runner. Does he hustle? I don't know. Probably not as much as he should. Let me ask you this. And obviously the answer is Gary Sanchez. So let me just say this. Who holds the two single most home run records in a single season for a catcher?
Johnny Bench.
The Yankees. Yogi Bear. It's not
Elston Howard.
Elston Howard was a good one, but no, I mean, so here we are, he's 5 years into his career, and 2 out of his first 5 years, the man has broken his own record as a hitter. So, those are the main ones here. So let's also break it down here. I did a little research. What is Gary Sanchez's contract right now? Do you know?
Well, I mean, I think he just signed like a 1-year deal, right?
It's a 1-year deal. 1-year deal worth $6.25 million.
Yeah.
Do you know where that ranks in all of Major League Baseball for catchers on a salary right now?
I don't know where it ranks, but it probably ranks higher than he should be getting with batting 180.
Well, last year, are you talking about last year when he batted 180? Because let's just throw out last year's stats for everybody. Last year was a quirky year. Throw that year out. That's another Colin Cowherdism, right? He says, don't go by the best year. Don't go statistically by the worst year. Let's take an average. So, not that I know it's average over 5 years right now. I could
probably it's probably about 222, 224.
It's probably 224, 234. But, where does that rank compared to what he is expected to do as a man who's on a 1-year, $6.25 million contract?
I expect you to run to first base.
This guy never runs to first
because the
base.
entire
Why are we on running?
George, because you want to know why?
Costing them outs.
You
It's
want to
costing
know
them
why?
outs.
Because the
Costing them
entire
runs.
organization is watching how you come out of the gate and play this year because of the last 2 years that you've had. And you've come out and you basically, in my mind, you've shown them you don't give a shit. That's what it looks like to
Kinda
me.
Allen
He's
Iverson.
lazy
We
behind the
talking about
plate.
Practice?
No, I'm talking about games.
practice?
I'm talking about games. I'm talking about him in games.
He's a freaking catcher.
Did you see the catcher for the Orioles? The reason the Orioles won the game is because that catcher hustled down the line and beat out that Gleyber Torres shit throw in the dirt.
Yeah, I got no argument there actually.
Right, so-
I'm a big believer in hustle. You know that.
Look,
I coach youth sports. I could talk about hustle. You're right, but
I mean, we were just talking about, we had a softball tournament this weekend, so I'm all over that. But at the end of the day,
can I tell you a quick story?
no, I'm going to be
Quick story.
finished
I'll
my
make it real
point.
quick. I don't want to veer off. All right, go.
No, go
We had
ahead.
a basketball game. On Sunday. We've actually thank God for CYO basketball. Thank God for AAU because our Capital District League up here for the travel league I've been a part of for the last 5 years wanted nothing to do with the season, which rightfully so. I get it, but the Catholics were having games, so we were allowed to join the CYO league, and we got some games with the AAU teams. So anyway, we're on our 8th game, actually. We played 8 games, no practices. So we played a 7th grade AAU team up in Saratoga, Spa Catholic. And we played them 3 times. The first time we got absolutely ran out of the gym. These guys were in shape. They were pressing us full court, blah, blah, blah. We had no answers. Our guys were gassed. We only had 6 guys.
That's hard. That's hard, especially when they're pressing and you can't make changes. And you probably didn't even practice any press breaks, so it's kind of difficult.
No. Oh, dude, we were putting press breaker in literally on the sideline, which kind of worked. So anyway, we brought our 8th graders to the second game. We had 4 8th graders, and they were the 4 best 8th graders in Scotia. So the second game we played them, it was a great game. We lost by 2 points. So we played them a 3rd time on Sunday, and we were having a great game. Actually, 2 of my best 8th graders weren't even there, but we've been building that team chemistry, getting better. So here's where the story gets funny. So we're down 53-52 with 1 minute left. My best player on my 7th grade team steals the ball, going in for kind of an uncontested layup. Not really. Misses. They get the rebound. We foul. So now I'm like, oh, geez. I'm like, we got to put him on the line. We got to keep fouling. So I call a timeout. I go over to the scores table. I said, how many fouls do we have? 1.
Game's over.
It was over. Nick, the game was over. I mean, these were skilled players. They're AAU players. They just kept throwing the ball around. We fouled. We got like 4 fouls in. And then there was like 2 seconds left on our very last foul. Couldn't put him on the line. And actually, our guy got a steal almost right at half court, and he just got the ball, and he had, I don't even know if he got a shot up. I don't even think he got a shot up, but it was like one of those things where, like, here I am in the heat of the battle. I'm the coach. I'm supposed to know these things. And I go over to the scorer's table, and they're like, yeah, you only have 1 foul. I'm like, oh, we're screwed.
Yeah, and
And then I got people like, foul. I'm like, yeah, I don't foul.
Yeah, and it's almost like if they called too many fouls, you would have been pissed off earlier in the game.
Exactly.
Right, so
exactly.
you can't. There's no win there.
We were pretty much camping out in a zone because, our guys had no energy to go 4 quarters. But anyway, I just wanted to get that quick story out there because I know I heard the Abby story and you were down there, so I just wanted to kind of add my youth story as well.
The thing that I tell these kids all the time, and this is, and I can't even believe that you even have, like, to go back to Gary Sanchez, that you would even have to have this conversation with a guy who's making $6 million a year. And I never like to bring the money into it, but, that every game and every practice, I say, worry about what you can control. You can control running on and off the field. You can control hustle and running the first base. You can't control where the ball's going to be hit, but you could control doing your 1-2 and being ready. Those are all
Nick,
controllables. There's no excuse
I remember when you were at my house and you were in my living room and you said those exact words to my son. I remember clear as day. You were like, Nick, you were like, one thing you got to remember is exactly what you said. You can't control, what the umps calls or, you basically laid it out just like that to him. And I repeat that to him, especially in baseball. I'm like, Nick, control what you can control.
And then I locked my keys. Then I locked my keys in the car. Do you remember?
You locked your keys, and then you showed me how to jimmy a lock. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing, and I know this is kind of, this was talked about a lot last week, and I know you're very active politically.
Yeah. You know me.
On social media.
I'm a diehard liberal. I'm not gonna lie.
The diehard liberal. I tend to lean a little right.
Yeah.
You like to use a lot of exclamation points in your sentences. Like to yell at people a little bit.
I do a lot of that though. I don't know if that means anything.
I think one time I even said, "Why are you yelling? Why are you yelling?"
Exactly.
You're like, "I'm not yelling." I'm like, "That's what 6 exclamation points mean."
I know. It's usually not really how I talk in person, but it comes across like that.
What I want to ask you,
Yeah, go ahead.
Is MLB justified in moving the All
That went. Now they're moving.
All right. So
You know, it's funny. Nick, go ahead.
when we talk about a lot of these laws, there are a couple, right? Like the mobile voting, to bring voting to the people, and kind of making that only in emergency situations. I think that's a problem. But I mean, as far as a lot of the other things like the water, I mean, that was a big deal. And again, I mean, bring.
Their motives to me, and it's the one where they gave the power back to the state legislatures and took it away from the county officials. Now that to me screams, wait, like that should put up a red flag and say, so what are we saying here? Are we saying that we're going to throw away, you know, the power of the people? Because that's what they were trying to do. If you remember, that's what Trump was trying to do in Michigan. That's what Trump was trying to do in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona. He was trying to say, oh, whoa. There's fraud. You know, we can't trust the officials. We have to go to the state legislatures. That's what kind of scares me.
So this voter ID bill is so egregious. See, this is just where this is just where I have the problem, right? This is where I have a problem with the whole thing.
Yeah.
You're basically saying, not you, the Democrat politicians are basically saying this is so bad and it hurts the minority population in such a way that it's going to affect the outcome of elections because, you know, you have to have an ID to vote.
Okay.
Right? And
now,
go ahead. Yeah. So what do you should you have an do you believe you should have an ID to vote? Do you think that's a problem? That because I think the law there previously was you had to have an ID to vote. You had to have an ID to vote in person.
Value, it sounds like it's horrendous, but I think once again, when you look in these urban communities and these minority communities, you know, they might not have easy access. They might not have the certain ID necessary, for example, on the absentee ballots. Like, why isn't your signature, right? Your signature is like no other. There is 100% no, right? I mean, can you forge a signature? I guess you could, but wouldn't that be pretty hard? I don't know. I mean, I kind of can get behind it, but then it kind of sounds like it's making it harder. Why are you trying to make it harder? You know what I'm saying? Like,
you want to know? You want to hear my?
Hard.
You want to hear my conspiracy theory? Not really conspiracy theory, but
yeah, I want to hear all of your crazy theories.
Okay, so when and this is what I don't understand. The Democrats are basically saying that the minority community is it has to rely on us so much that they're so I don't know if destitute is the right word. They're so relying on us that you know,
it's a slap in the face,
right? That it's almost like it is kind of a slap in the face that you can't even go get an ID. We don't trust you enough to be able to figure out how to vote. And for me,
I agree.
You need an ID to get a job, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If you start to give these people IDs, I think getting an ID, honestly, is the first step, the very first step out of a cycle of poverty that I don't think they want those people out of because I think they're scared they'll lose that vote. Is that crazy?
And no, actually, that's not a conspiracy. I think you hit the nail on the head.
And that scares the shit out of them.
That's a democratic way of thinking. It's like, you're right. We have to help these hopeless people. They're so desolate. You know, they're so in poverty. Well, are they really? I mean, there's many examples where minorities are the hardest workers out of any of us. Let's talk about, I don't know if this is politically correct or will come off the wrong way, but let's talk about Mexicans. Have you ever met a Mexican who's not a freaking one of the hardest workers you've ever seen in your life?
That's absolutely true.
Salvadorian neighbor. And the dude, all he did was work. He came home and he worked. He had a job. He wanted to start a landscaping business with me. It was like, wow. It's so, yeah, it's,
I'm not
you
saying
question why they say they're not capable of getting an ID, which I get.
Yeah, I'm not saying that the law doesn't have its issues or the bill doesn't have its issues. I think the just lying and the taken out of context and misleading on some of it is really unfortunate.
Yeah.
But I think to move the All-Star game from who are they hurting?
I know, and here's another point.
And who are they benefiting?
Okay, I know. And I this is actually another point that I jotted down because I knew you were going to hit on this. And I told you about this when we talked on Facebook. Major League Baseball, and I could read Manfred's statement, but I won't. I'll just kind of summarize it. They are going to make good on any investments that people, had to come out of their own pockets to, get ready for this All-Star game. You got to think of the marketing costs. You got to think of the advertising costs. You got to think of the overhead, probably hiring staff, blah, blah, blah. These people probably took a big hit. Guaranteed. So Major League Baseball has to make good on that. They cannot let anybody in that city take a loss.
Well, people are going to take a loss, and then you take that money.
Are
and
they
instead
going
of
to take a loss?
There's going to be people, security companies that would have been hired. You think they're, that would have been hired for very small part-time work. I get it, but there's a lot of different underlying factors there. And they'll put money back into
that revenue. You can't count on that revenue.
No, I'm not saying you should count on it, but the revenue was there. And then what you did is you picked up and you left an over 50% minority population to go to Denver, Colorado, where your population is 8% minority. So
I know.
If Major League Baseball, first of all, Major League Baseball historically are the worst marketers I've ever seen in the history of my life. Okay,
they're starting to get better, right? I hope they get their. But I hope they need to listen to Colin Cowherd because you're hitting on another Colin Cowherdism there, and he's always said that Major League Baseball is the worst.
Yeah, they are. Right. Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. At the end of the day, you just took it out of a minority city and took it to probably one of the whitest cities with a higher median income. Why not take that and put it in Miami? Why not take the All-Star game and put it in?
That's true.
Name any other. Basically, name any other city in the country.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, it's crazy. It's lunacy.
Yeah.
And I would have stayed there. I
can't fault you there.
I would have stayed there.
Major League Baseball, Manfred, he has to, supposedly he talked to the ownership. Supposedly he talked to the union. They were all on board. I'm sure he got a little bit of, people who were against him. They have to make good. It's not a easy call. It's not an easy call. He had to have some balls.
This kind of mentality, though, is just going to hurt the people that they're trying to protect. Right? It's like we lose our minds over and every little thing. And I'm not saying this is a little thing, the Georgia voting law, but we snap and we lose our minds over everything. Like the whole Meghan Markle said that the prince wasn't going to be their kid wasn't going to be called the prince because of the color of their skin, and then somebody comes. Exactly. You're right. That's what I was going to say. So then Pierce Morgan's like, I don't believe her.
That's like entertainment. Like who even cares?
But here's what happened, though, George. But here's what happened. Sharon Osbourne defended Piers Morgan. The show got taken off the air for a little bit of time until they figured out what they could do, simply because they were having dialogue. Sharon Osbourne had to leave the show. Then it comes out that she freaking lied about something that was so dumb she didn't need to lie about. And now people are like losing jobs, and it's like the show had to get shut down. Like, what the hell are we talking about? Like, everybody needs to take a collective breath and step back and just say, what are we doing?
I agree.
How is this really affecting people? Because at the end of the day, if they put the All-Star game, a lot of these decisions with this cancel culture, I mean, it's just, we lost our minds.
Here's my kind of liberal, progressive. Oh, go ahead, Ken. Sorry.
I have to go find my mind because we've been an hour and 5 minutes. So I was gonna cut. You guys could go on forever.
Yeah.
I'm the only one that controls the time aspect of the show, so people keep coming back. So we've got to start saying goodbye.
George, it was good talking to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity. This was fun.
If you're ever listening and you want to call in for a quick question, just call.
Well, it won't be quick. But, okay.
No, well, I'll just hang up. I got control now.
Thank you so much. Good talking to you guys. You guys are doing an awesome job.
Thanks, George.
All right,
All right, see you.
Peace. All right, Nikki, take us out.
Where's your boy?
No, it's after 8. I gotta go.
He can call.
I know. Next week.
He can call quick.
Next week.
Tell him to call right now.
Nothing will be quick.
Tell him to call right now.
Nothing's going to be quick.
845-366-2095.
No.
845-366-2095.
Oh, this is not cool. You're
You gotta go. You gotta be down the road at 8:30. We gotta be down the road at 8:30.
All right, you're not leaving anything for next week, dude.
Oh, come on.
Oh my god.
I'm not leaving anything for next week.
Yeah.
Got a whole week of shit. So we can move on from that, and we'll get into a lot of different baseball stuff. I know he asked what the number was.
I thought that George was a good host.
Here we go.
I mean, a good guest. What do you got coming on now? Robert.
Hello. Yeah, you're on. Who's this?
Hello?
This is Robert. Robert's on the phone.
This is Rob.
Hey, Rob.
Yo, what's up, Rob?
How are you?
Good. What do you got?
I take issue with your assessment of the whole Georgia voting situation, and your analysis ignores the fact that a lot of these people were put at a disadvantage from the time they were born. You from what I can hear, you're approaching it like, well, why do they need all this handholding? Well, they need all this handholding because they were put in a bad position when they got here. So if we have to prop them up, we prop them up.
I don't think anyone disagrees with that.
I don't disagree with that,
We're
though.
talking about whether people in the year 2021 should have IDs.
Well, the conversation that I heard when the other caller was on, it seemed like the conversation was, well, how far do we go? How much do we help these people?
I think that's a great point. When you help them by getting them IDs so they can then get jobs and help get popped up. I think
that was my point.
I think that's what Nick was explaining with that point. But I'll let Nick. But that was the point I got.
So the exact quote that I believe that I said was, if they get IDs, then that is the first step potentially out of the cycle of poverty, because you need to have an ID to get a job. And my thought behind that was, it's just, if that's less control now, right? That a group of people may have over another. Yeah. I'm not saying that you shouldn't help these people, because I think not bringing voting to them when they did, with the buses, the motorhome voting or whatever they called it. I think that kind of hurts. I think there are some things in this bill that does hurt the voting for some of the people in that community. But I think they could do it in a way where they can also help raise people up at the same time, or at least give them the opportunity, right? I think a lot of people want equity of opportunity.
Well,
we're here. We're listening to you.
Oh, I lost you there for a second. You there? Hello?
What did you last hear us say?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought I lost you there for a minute. And what is your issue with the All-Star game?
That the MLB took the game away from Georgia, where there's predominantly diverse business owners in that area, and they brought it to Denver, where there are not. And so their political point in having a message was not done that well. It wasn't as successful as it could be, because they went to a geographic area that's inopposite to that which was in Georgia.
Right, but so where should they have gone?
Why not go to another diverse city?
Why did they pick Denver?
We don't know. I don't know why they picked Denver.
I don't know why they picked Denver.
That's why people were asking, why did you pick Denver? Every stadium in the country would have been available on that day for the All-Star game. Why pick
There's got to
Denver?
be. There's got to be a reason.
Yeah, but that's why this is a fun conversation to have, because it's easy to stoke a fire by saying, so you have a message, it's a political message, pull out of Georgia because Georgia's racist. You got to help prop up people. I'm using the words you said because they've been disadvantaged since when they got here. That's what you said. And so where do you take your money?
I did.
You take it and you bring it to Denver?
Where there's 8% African American population?
It's just what a dumb decision. And that's,
No, I didn't know they moved. I didn't know they moved it to Denver.
well, they did. They moved it to Denver, which was like totally putting egg on their face. And it makes it more fodder for us to talk about because you got to do the right thing, right? Pull out of Georgia. That was the right thing to do. Now move somewhere where you can further
I
your
disagree
point.
with that, by the way.
I hear you. I don't mind that they pull it. If a private company wants to pull out of something, that's totally up to them. So they have the right to do it, the freedom to do it. And I think it was a good political message if you believe that the Georgia law was something that the people of Georgia were voting for, which I don't. I think certain politicians voted for it. So then you have to believe that they did it on behalf of their constituents. So there's this whole line, A, B, C, D, of causality and chain and link that you can't put together. But nevertheless, if you believe they should have pulled out of Georgia, then they should have went somewhere that was meaningful. And they didn't, so they screwed it up. And as to the IDs, we talked about that. Everyone should have an ID.
You know you should talk about next week?
What?
You know you should talk about next week?
Yeah, help
Taxes.
us. Yeah, but I don't know.
Taxes should be your conversation next week.
Yeah, but nobody likes to pay taxes. So like, who disagree? Everybody wants to.
I agree. Listen, did you what's his name on 60 Minutes? You see the 60 Minutes interview with the chairman of the Fed? His name is escaping me now.
I do
He basically said the economy's in great shape. The economy is poised to do better.
Yeah.
It's doing much better than expected. And yet listen, I'm leaning more liberal these days. But the tax increases that are coming are going to be astronomical. And not only that, that's not the way you stimulate the economy. You don't stimulate the economy by raising taxes. That's gonna hurt the economy.
Correct. And
that is a good topic that you should go ahead.
Yeah, but if you have an economy that's been shut down for a year, and you start to open it back up, the only trend is up, right? I mean, if there's no business in that building over there, and then I go in there and I open a bakery, if I do $1 of business, that's an increase than what that building was producing before.
The question is, where should you? Yeah, we all agree with that. Look, Biden says he's not raising taxes on anyone. Any family that's making less than $400,000 a year. Most people in the country do not make $400,000 a year. So therefore, there's nothing wrong, arguably, with the taxes, right? Because the majority of the country, the people, the working class, are not going to feel that tax, right? At least that's the story we're being told.
They're going to feel that. They're going to feel that.
Why would
tax.
they feel it? They're not going to get an income tax.
Because it's going to increase the price of goods and services.
Not
You
necessarily.
increase the corporate tax. I mean, do you think these people are going to eat that?
Now we're going to talk about this next week. 28% versus 25% versus 21%.
That should be next week's topic.
All right.
So
Are you going to call? You're going to call in? Be our guest?
Yeah, I'll call. I'll call every week if I don't forget.
Oh, well, that's not cool. Are you going to remember
That's
to be our
ridiculous
guest
if I don't
next week?
forget. That's an out. That's an out.
Yeah. Are you going to be our guest next week or
I'll
not?
call in. I'll call in next week. I sometimes forget.
Well, I'll remind
So,
you.
do you think it was a good decision for Major League Baseball to move the All-Star game? Yes or no?
I do.
Okay,
I do.
leave it with that.
I do.
I would have handled it differently. I would have stayed there, but then showed the people that we're not happy about this, but we're not going to abandon the people of Atlanta, and then get everybody on board. I mean, they canvassed and they asked the players. I mean, ask the people in Atlanta, the business owners, the people who are going to suffer, and then help them,
No question about it that it hurts people in Atlanta. But the Republicans doubled down. I mean, they made their decision on the voting.
Can we talk about Matt Gaetz next week?
I agree. The
let's talk
Republicans are
about Matt Gaetz
shitheads
next
too.
week.
Can we talk? Will you call in if we talk about Matt Gaetz?
Let's talk about Matt
I'm
Gaetz.
sure a lot
Let's talk
more
about
fun.
Matt
That's
Gaetz
going to be a
next
lot
week.
more fun. Dude, thanks for calling in.
Yeah, that's better than taxes.
Rob, thank you.
Bye.
Peace. Take us out, Nikki.
Oh my God! I would love for Rob to call in more. I want to thank Rob for calling in, George. I want to thank Kenny. Thank the listeners. There's been more and more people watching. We could share this thing a little bit more. Don't really put it out there, really, just unless it's on Facebook. So I think I'm going to start putting it out there on Twitter more. Really trying to build an audience as we get better and better every week. As I tell the kids, hey, get better every inning, every day. Kenny's about to lose his mind at 8:14. Dino Myers, awesome hats. See ya.